Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we have a really bad glare. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm just gonna let you know up front. Try and avoid the glare. I'll try and move it a little bit. Yeah, it's just bad lighting right now. But anyway, let's talk about the Ottawa Senators potentially being tied to bringing back Erik Karlsson. Now, again, that's not going to be the entirety of this video because I think it's kind of just filler at this point, and kind of everybody's just beating down on the Sens right now. So I'm going to take a break from that today. But this is an interesting report from Erik Karlsson. Now, if you guys haven't been watching, the San Jose Sharks, Erik Karlsson is he's playing pretty good hockey right now. And like when I say pretty good, I mean very good. Erik Karlsson right now is kind of changing the narrative. You know, this is a guy that had one of the worst contracts in the entire National Hockey League, and has all of a sudden here in the last couple of weeks just sort of turned his career around. I'm really happy for Karlsson. This is a guy that dealt with some tough injuries, had the trade out of Ottawa, took a lot of heat for that, but here he is and playing well. Now, if you look at how he's done since he's left Ottawa, so his last season in Ottawa was the 2017-18 season. And he registered that was a really bad career for him in terms of plus minus. But again, there was the Senators. He was a minus 25, but he had 62 points in 71 games with the Senators. Since then, he has never eclipsed that point total during a full season with the Sharks. Now, that's kind of deceiving because we did have the three shortened seasons with the pandemic, and I'm never going to say that word again because I got beat up for that. But since the pandemic, he has never gotten to that point again. So when you take a look at his numbers, he picked up 45 points in 53 games in his first season in San Jose. So he still played well. Again, as a defenseman, those are really good numbers. 40 points in 56 games during the pandemic, 22 points in 52 games in the 2020-2021 season. That was a little bit more of a struggle for him, and that's kind of where we saw him really fall off. And then he had 35 points in 50 games last year, so he picked it up a little bit, but for the third consecutive season at that point, he's been a minus at the end of the year, which just isn't, again, it's not that big of a deal, but when you're not putting up the points either, it is a little bit more concerning. This season, though, through 21 games with the San Jose Sharks, he already has 11 goals this season. Mind you, in 21 games. So to put that in context, the last season that Erik Karlsson had more than... He has already eclipsed his goal total in an entire season since the 2016-2017 Senators, where he had 17 goals. Last season, in a 50-game schedule, he had 10 goals in that time. He has 18 assists already. So his goal production has gone up mightily. And we are seeing Karlsson from 5 or 6 years ago in terms of his production. He's already got 29 points on the season, 11 goals, 18 assists. That adds up to 29, I'm pretty sure. That's 29 points in 21 games already this season with the San Jose Sharks. His average ice time is about where it was back in the 2017-18 season. Over 25 minutes of ice time. He has not seen that much ice time since that time back in 2017-18, where he played over 26 minutes of ice time. Now, again, it's a short season still. It's only 21 games in, so that time on ice might slow down a little bit, might come down closer to 24, 23, depending on what happens. But man, things have turned around for Karlsson, and I'm so proud of him for it. Because this is a guy that has taken so much flack, so much heat, got booed in San Jose on opening night when his name was announced. You guys remember that? He got booed in front of his home fans, not in Ottawa, in San Jose. At SAP Center, he got booed, and rightfully so. He's getting paid a lot of money and hasn't produced for the last couple years. Not the case now. And you know what? Unlike the Ottawa Senators, he could have came out and said, wow, I'm really disappointed by the fans. They really hurt my feelings. And, this is something I have to work through. No. He went out there and said, you know what? Through the first 21 games of the season, I'm going to put in 11 goals and have a career season this year. Because they booed me, I'm going to use that as motivation. And you know what? By the end of the year, they'll be loving me, buying my jerseys, and chanting Karlsson through SAP Center. Not that you're doing it for that, but you're looking for that motivation to say, yeah, you know what? I am better than that. And that's what Karlsson's done this year. So, with that said, now the rumors are out there that now that the Sharks are in fact in a rebuild, and a guy that was kind of considered a untradeable asset this past summer, is probably going to gain some trade interest. Now, this is from Elliot Friedman. I have a couple interesting reports from around the league. He said Friedman thinks that the Florida Panthers are the best fit for Erik Karlsson. That's definitely an interesting choice. The Capitals only have one defenseman signed past this season, and Erik Karlsson could be a fit. And obviously we know that defenseman is John Carlson. So the Washington Capitals have kind of stirred up some interest there. Ian Mendez believes that Erik Karlsson would waive his no-move clause to return to Ottawa. And that's from Ian Mendez. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Even though they need a defenseman, I think there's enough water under that bridge. No need to bring that back. There's just no way. And considering the value that the Senators lost for Karlsson in the last trade that they made, I just don't think that makes sense at this point. It's not a good fit for them. I just don't see that happening. Now, a couple of the teams that Erik Karlsson has kind of been tied to, and this is from Puck Empire. He has the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Washington Capitals, the St. Louis Blues, the Detroit Red Wings, the Edmonton Oilers, the Ottawa Senators, the New York Islanders, and the Florida Panthers all in the mix. And all those teams make a little bit of sense. I think a couple of those teams just cap space-wise will not happen, like Toronto and Edmonton and the Islanders and really Florida for that matter. But Washington, again, the fact that they are clearing up so much cap this summer, Washington, St. Louis to a lesser extent, I think they like, Craig Berube's teams do better with that kind of, that blue-collar tough defenseman, and Karlsson doesn't necessarily fill that, and they already have Justin Falk. The Red Wings are an interesting team as well. They do have a little bit of cap space, but I don't know if I see Stevie Y taking on that $11 million cap hit. And the Ottawa Senators, of course. But I do see a couple teams here that are in that conversation. I just think, unfortunately, for some of them, like Toronto, Edmonton, the Islanders, and the Panthers, they just don't have the cap space. I think that's kind of, he would be a good fit there, but they don't have the room. And I think that's kind of where we're at with those teams, but I figured I'd mention that, and a shout out to a good Instagram account in Puck Empire. Mike Johnson thinks that the Red Wings are a good fit for Erik Karlsson, and I kind of believe that. I think that is definitely valid. This is a guy that I think a lot of teams are kind of high on. I think Karlsson right now is riding a high note, but unfortunately, if the Sharks want to get a good return from him, he's probably going to have to do it for the whole season. It's not going to be good enough just through 21 games. There's an 82-game schedule. There's still another 5-6 months of the season. He's got to continue to do this. And he's done very well here through the first quarter of the year. But like I said, there's a lot of hockey to be played. And I think that he has definitely risen his, a lot of teams have perked interest in him. But he needs to ride this out for the year. And it's going to be tough because the Sharks are not an extremely good team, but he is just playing so well that I think he potentially could find his way out of California here pretty shortly. We'll see how things go. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Where do you guys think Erik Karlsson would be a good fit? Honestly, I think, as much as I hate to say this, I think the Washington Capitals. Imagine Karlsson and Karlsson. Karlsson and Karlsson playing together on the same team. It's like Pelech and Pulak for the Islanders, except to the nth degree. I think that is a great fit there in Washington, and I think that that's a team that, again, the fact that they are going to need probably a completely new blue line, and depending on what happens this year, if they miss the playoffs, It could be a very interesting summer in Washington, and I could see them going for a guy like Erik Karlsson. So let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.